crypto finally explained without boring you to death. Give me a few minutes and you'll finally understand it better than you ever did. No buzzwords, no tech lectures, just how it actually works so you can fake it at your next dinner party. By the end of this, you'll understand blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and why your cousin Gary keeps trying to sell you on the next meme coin. What even is crypto? Crypto is basically digital money not controlled by banks or governments. It's digital money that only exists online. It's stored and tracked on something called the blockchain. The blockchain is basically a giant public record that stores everything that no one can change without permission. So instead of the banks keeping your balance, there's essentially a giant notebook, but nobody can cheat on this. Think of the blockchain as a massive Google spreadsheet, but it's public and indestructible. And most of all, your ex cannot delete anything out of spite. The blockchain is the backbone of crypto and has some important points. First of all, you might hear that it's decentralized. This essentially means that it's stored on thousands and thousands of computers around the world, which are called nodes. It's also immutable, which essentially means when something is recorded on this blockchain, it cannot be altered or deleted unless everybody on the blockchain agrees. It's transparent. Anybody can view transactions, but what you do see is wallet addresses, not public names. There's also no single owner. It's not run by banks, governments, or a single person. It's also peer-to-peer, meaning that there's no middleman, so it doesn't work like traditional banks or PayPal. So why is this a big deal? For one, there's no bank that's going to tell you how to spend your money. It works 24/7, it never closes. It's not like a bank which closes on holidays or Sundays. It's also quite secure against fraud. So next, let's talk about how crypto actually moves. So the sending and receiving of crypto are done on wallets. So a wallet is where your crypto lives. This could be a phone app, it could be a software program, it could even be a USB stick known as a cold wallet or hardware wallet. Wallet comprises of your public address. This is like your bank account number, and this is the number that people use to send you money. Then there's the private key. This is like the password to your vault. It's critical. If you lose this, you lose all your crypto and money. Then there are transactions. You essentially enter the other recipient's public wallet address, you enter the amount and what crypto you want to send, you hit send, and then the blockchain verifies this. Then there's a verification process. So every transaction on the blockchain is verified. This verification is then broadcasted to the entire network. Miners or validators check that this is actually legit. There's no double spending, there's no correct signatures or anything like this. Once it's approved, it's added as a new block on the blockchain. That block is essentially linked to the previous block before it with a lot of fancy code and jargon. Essentially, this is why it's called the blockchain. So remember, on your wallet, you have your public address, your private address, and then there's transactions. Because the first time you're seeing a public address, it might look funny to you. It looks like a string where a cat ran across your keyboard, and that's the address you have now. Your private keys are like your underwear. You never let anybody see it, and you change it if anybody does see it. And you can send crypto to somebody else in literally seconds or up to minutes. But somehow your bank still needs 3 days to move your money across the street. Now let's talk a little bit about the fees of how these transactions work. So you usually pay a fee, which is also called a gas fee, which is the transactional fee to send somebody else crypto. These fees are to motivate these miners or validators to keep the network up, and that's the price they take out of your transactions. On the Ethereum chain, this fee could actually buy you lunch, or on very busy days, a very expensive lunch. On chains such as Solana, usually the fees are under a penny, but on chains like Ethereum, on high volume days, it could be up in the hundreds of dollars for a transaction. Next, let's talk about why people actually care about crypto. So a big term you might hear in crypto is decentralized finance, or DeFi. These are bank-like services of earning, borrowing, or just without the bank. Why does this matter? That's because anybody on the internet can participate in this. And how does this actually work? This works by something called smart contracts. This is essentially code that acts like an agreement and handles the transactions automatically. Think of DeFi as the rebellious teen in the financial world. It handles money, but it doesn't listen to the banks. It doesn't follow curfew, and it definitely doesn't call home. There's also the concept of NFTs and digital ownership. NFTs are essentially a unique token that provides ownership of something. This could be an image, it could be a song, it could be a ticket, it could even be a digital piece of land. Now, why do people care about this? That's because it's a way to prove that something is actually yours in the digital world. A recent twist is we're seeing a comeback of NFTs. You can see this in things like CryptoPunks, and these you can just basically think of as JPEG 2.0s. However, for these JPEGs, people are willing to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for it. So an NFT is basically a certificate saying that, hey, this JPEG is actually mine. Now everybody else can see it, screenshot it, or print it out, but only you own the blockchain receipt for it. Congratulations. You now have a $500,000 JPEG. Now, obviously, recently we've been seeing a lot of institutional interest into crypto. There are very big players coming into the mix, including BlackRock, Fidelity, and JP Morgan. Now, why is this? It's because they're seeing profits and booms in these investments and transaction fees. In a reality check with this, these are seen as investments for them. ETH is not used to buy coffee. And by the way, when we say ETH, we're talking about Ethereum. We'll get into all that. So talking about these cryptos, there's basically two big granddaddies of them all. And this essentially comes to the store of value and the reason people invest in this. The biggest granddaddy of them all is Bitcoin, which is referred to as digital gold. There's a limited supply of Bitcoin. There can only be 21 million coins and you can never make more. So there's a limited supply here. So Bitcoin is immune to what we see in traditional fiat like the dollar, where you can unlimitedly print more and more. Bitcoin, there's only going to be this amount and there's never going to be any more. Now the second biggest cryptocurrency after Bitcoin at the moment is Ethereum, or referred to as ETH. You can think of this as digital oil. So remember, Bitcoin digital gold, Ethereum digital oil. Ethereum basically powers the network, and things such as smart contracts, which are code and you can think of it as other projects, can be deployed on the Ethereum network. So why do people care about these? So for starters, it's a hedge against inflation, also against unstable currencies, and against banking restrictions. But most of all, people invest in it to make money. So Bitcoin doesn't care if your country is constantly printing money like it's toilet paper. Bitcoin is just going to be Bitcoin. Next, let's talk about the risks and the future of crypto. First of all, crypto is very volatile. Prices in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies can swing like a toddler on a sugar rush. One day can go up 30%, the other day can go down 40%. However, most can agree through time, and we can see this with the price in the charts, Bitcoin does overall, during a long period, continue to go up. However, the takeaway here is if you cannot handle your money doing backflips and seeming like it's on a roller coaster all the time, then this might not be the emotional motion sickness that you need. Next, let's talk a little bit about the scams and hacks in crypto. So there's something called rug pulls, and this is essentially the investors pulling all the money or liquidity out of a token, and all the investors' money goes to zero. Next, there's lots of phishing scams in crypto. This includes phishing websites, links that are essentially dangerous, and others stealing your private keys and essentially having access to all your crypto or money. There's also a lot of exchange hacks happening in the past. These are essentially centralized platforms that hold your crypto for you that can have a single point of failure. Let's quickly talk about the future and where it's going. First up is the integration. There's more and more financial needs for these transactions. There's a lot of things getting tokenized right now and a lot of things moving to the blockchain from traditional finance. This includes finance, supply chain, gaming, AI, art, you name it. A lot of it is moving into the blockchain now. There's also lots of institutional adoption here, and you're seeing this with the rise of the ETFs. There is, however, a mass adoption challenge. For example, your grandma is going to have trouble understanding these concepts or setting up a digital wallet. So crypto's future is not about replacing money. It's about upgrading it. It's like going from a flip phone to a smartphone, except this phone might actually explode in value. Alright, so you survived another crypto lesson without hopefully falling asleep. If you did get smarter today, please drop a like and subscribe below so the algorithm stops ghosting me. And please leave your comment below. Tell me your wildest crypto price predictions or any questions you have about this content. I'm Taha. I'm not your financial advisor, but I'm here to help, so you don't have to go on Google and ask, what is a gas fee at 2 o'clock in the morning? Thank you all for watching. Cheers.